You are being hunted in plain sight. Every day, toxic individuals, colleagues, supposed friends, perhaps even family members drain your energy, twist your words, and manipulate your emotions to serve their own selfish ends. They leave you exhausted, second-guessing your own sanity, and trapped in an endless cycle of defense and explanation. You've tried being kinder. You've tried being more assertive. You've tried cutting them off entirely, yet somehow they still manage to poison your peace and make you question your own reality. In this video, we are going to solve the fundamental problem of your constant victimization. We will strip away the modern illusions of endless empathy and teach you the cold, calculated method to completely disarm, outmaneuver, and neutralize the toxic people in your life using a single ruthless psychological principle that has protected the powerful for centuries. Welcome, seekers of true power and self-preservation. For too long, humanity has clung to the fragile hope that kindness alone will cure the wicked. It will not. I am here to tell you that in the brutal court of everyday life, idealism is the quickest path to ruin. Men and women are, by their very nature, driven by self-interest, capable of deception, and prone to manipulation when it serves their purposes. This is not cynicism, this is clear-eyed realism. When you encounter those whose toxicity threatens your peace and your position, you must not meet them with open arms and naive trust, but with a cunning mind and strategic heart. Today, we delve into the pragmatic arts of survival, drawing from the wisdom of Niccolò Machiavelli himself. We shall explore a singular, devastating technique to outsmart the toxic individuals that plague your existence, ensuring that you remain the sovereign of your own fate, the master of your own emotional kingdom. Listen carefully. You are under siege by invisible armies. Toxic people do not argue with you to reach truth. They provoke you to seize control of your emotional kingdom. Their battlefield is not the conference room or dinner table. Their true battlefield is your nervous system itself. Picture this strategic reality. When a toxic colleague delivers a cutting remark designed to humiliate you publicly, your instinct screams to defend, justify, explain. You feel heat rising in your chest, urgency flooding your thoughts. Understand this crucial moment. They are watching your face like a general watches enemy troop movements. Your reaction is their prize. Your emotional explosion is their victory parade. Machiavelli understood that those who cannot govern their own passions will inevitably be governed by others. These modern predators operate in a brutal economy where your emotional reaction is their absolute currency of choice. When your blood boils, when you raise your voice in righteous indignation, when your composure crumbles into desperate explanation, you are funding their campaign against your peace. They cast provocations like poisoned arrows over your fortress walls. A subtle insult disguised as concern, a deliberate misinterpretation of your words, a manufactured crisis designed to trigger panic. They have mapped your psychological vulnerabilities, watching with predatory patience for you to abandon your rational mind and charge into their emotional battlefield. The moment you bite their bait, frantically explaining yourself or striking back in anger, the trap snaps shut. You believe you are defending your honor, but you have surrendered your leverage entirely. You have proven they possess the invisible strings to make you dance on command. To defeat such enemies, you must bankrupt their currency completely. You must become emotionally unreachable while remaining strategically present. This requires the absolute mastery of detachment, not suppressing anger while your stomach churns, but cultivating internal ice. A ruler who cannot govern his own temper cannot govern anything. When they strike with their usual weapons, your face becomes an unreadable mask of marble. Your breathing stays steady, your voice devoid of inflection. They say, "You are really messing this up, aren't you?" The average person defends frantically. You respond with flat indifference. Noted. Then redirect. What is the next step? In that moment, you shatter their script. They rehearsed your anger, anticipated your tears, but have no plan for your absolute apathy. As they flail in the vacuum of your indifference, they expose themselves, growing louder and more absurd while you remain untouched. You are no longer the character in their drama. You are the silent judge watching them exhaust themselves on a stage you never agreed to enter. Your emotional unavailability becomes your most devastating weapon, turning their greatest strength into their ultimate weakness. You have been conditioned your entire life to fear the void between words, to rush in with explanations when tension thickens the air, to fill every awkward pause with nervous chatter or defensive justifications. This is precisely how toxic people maintain their stranglehold over conversations and control the emotional temperature of every room they enter. Understand this fundamental truth. Toxic individuals operate like psychological vampires who feed exclusively on your reactions. They cast out provocations like fishing lines, waiting for you to bite with anger, hurt, or frantic explanations. When they launch an accusation or deliver a cutting remark, they are not seeking resolution or truth. They are initiating a twisted game of emotional tennis, serving their poison over the net and expecting you to scramble desperately to return their serve with defensive energy. But what happens when you simply watch their ball bounce past you into the abyss? You introduce them to the most terrifying weapon in human interaction: strategic silence. This is not the silence of weakness or confusion. This is the calculated deployment of nothingness as your most devastating counterstrike. Human beings are biologically wired to abhor conversational vacuums. We instinctively rush to fill dead air with sound, any sound, because silence feels like social death. The toxic person who has built their entire strategy around your predictable reactions becomes completely defenseless when you deny them the friction they desperately need to maintain their illusion of dominance. Picture this scenario. A toxic colleague says in front of others, "Well, you clearly didn't think this through, did you?" They expect defensiveness, apologetic over-explanation, or visible hurt. Instead, you do something that shatters their script entirely. You look at them with mild, unreadable curiosity. Your face becomes an emotionless mask. You do not scowl, for scowling betrays anger. You do not smile, for smiling suggests nervous appeasement. You simply observe them like a scientist, studying a particularly bizarre specimen under glass. 1 second passes, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The silence becomes a living, breathing presence in the room. The toxic person, who moments ago felt confident and in control, suddenly finds themselves exposed under the crushing weight of their own words. Because you have not reacted, the spotlight of everyone's attention swings violently back onto them and their inappropriate behavior. In this moment of strategic void, you are not frozen with fear. You are calculating like a general deciding whether to engage in battle. Is this worth responding to? Who is watching? What outcome serves my interests best? You are no longer dragged into their chaos by instinct. You are choosing your level of engagement with cold precision. Watch what happens next. Unable to bear the suffocating pressure of your silence, the toxic individual begins to unravel before your eyes. They will backpedal nervously, attempt to explain away their insult as mere humor, or escalate desperately to force the reaction you are withholding. In either case, they are losing control while you expend absolutely zero energy. Sometimes you follow your silence with a simple, controlled question that flips the burden back onto them. "What do you mean by that?" said slowly, calmly, without emotion. Now they must explain their venom or retreat into weak justifications. Either outcome damages their position while strengthening yours. Other times you let the silence be your complete response. Their words fall to the ground like arrows striking stone. Nothing penetrates, nothing pierces. You return to your work, your conversation, your task, as if their attack never occurred. This is the strategy of the void. Their provocation finds no target, no surface to push against, no energy to absorb. You have transformed their greatest weapon into their ultimate weakness. By offering them nothing, you force them to confront the emptiness of their own tactics, leaving them entirely defenseless against a mind that refuses to be manipulated in the treacherous courts of modern life. You must position yourself like a master chess player who controls the center of the board while remaining untouchable by enemy pieces. Toxic individuals are predators who scan their environment for two specific types of prey: those weak enough to manipulate easily, and those expendable enough to destroy without consequence. To outmaneuver them completely, you must forge yourself into something they cannot afford to attack, yet cannot manage to control. This is the art of becoming strategically useful while remaining emotionally unreachable. Picture yourself as a fortress that provides valuable services to the surrounding kingdom, yet whose walls cannot be breached by any siege. You must weaponize your competence, transforming daily excellence into an invisible shield that deflects their political maneuvering. First, you must become undeniably indispensable. Execute your responsibilities with chilling efficiency that makes your value absolute. Become the structural pillar holding up their roof, because toxic people are inherently parasitic. They rely on existing structures while playing manipulative games. If you are the linchpin of the operation, they cannot tear you down without bringing the building crashing upon their own heads. Document your contributions meticulously. Build alliances with superiors and respected colleagues. Each connection becomes a political alliance that makes attacking you increasingly dangerous. But usefulness alone creates a deadly trap. If you are highly valuable yet emotionally accessible, you become the perfect victim. They will ride you like a workhorse, bleeding you dry while manipulating your desire to please. This is where the second component becomes critical. You must seal every access point to your internal world. Draw an impenetrable perimeter around your psyche, guarded by cold professional courtesy. When interacting with toxic individuals, you provide the work they require and absolutely nothing else. You do not share weekend plans, confess anxieties, or reveal personal struggles. You starve them of the intimate details they would inevitably twist into ammunition against you. Imagine the profound frustration this creates. They see a high-value target they desperately want to control, yet every time they reach out to grasp you, their fingers close around empty air. They try provocations, but you respond with bland, impenetrable professionalism. They probe for vulnerabilities, but you redirect conversations back to tasks with polite, dead-eyed efficiency. You have trapped them in a maddening paradox. They cannot discard you because your usefulness is too evident for their survival. Yet they cannot feed on you because your emotional unavailability denies them the dramatic reactions they crave like oxygen. This positioning requires immense discipline. You must suppress the natural desire to be understood, recognizing that with these individuals, connection is merely a precursor to infection. You treat them not as peers, but as hazardous weather conditions. You do not negotiate with storms, you build stronger roofs. When they test boundaries with subtle disrespect or baiting comments, you respond like a calm sovereign correcting minor disturbances. Firm, brief, final. That doesn't work for me. Your refusal to supply drama denies them satisfaction, while your measured composure makes their behavior appear increasingly unreasonable to observers. Predators conserve energy. When they realize attacking you yields no emotional reward and carries high risk of damaging their resources, they inevitably seek easier targets. You remain in the center of chaos, untouched and indispensable, operating with cold sovereign authority over your domain, watching their petty machinations fail against the fortress of your calculated indifference. You make one catastrophic error with toxic people. You believe their chaos is random. You react to each provocation with shock, as if their cruelty springs from some mysterious well of unpredictability. This is precisely the illusion they want you to maintain. Strip away the emotional fog they generate, and you will discover a pathetic truth. Toxic individuals are the most rigidly predictable creatures on Earth. They are absolute slaves to their own psychological appetites, chained to compulsions they cannot resist. Machiavelli understood that men always act according to their basest nature when given opportunity. You must adopt the cold gaze of a scientist studying a lesser organism. Stop asking why they behave so destructively. Start mapping how their machinery operates. What triggers their mask to slip? Do they lash out when others receive recognition? Do they manufacture crises when you attempt distance? Do they play victim when held accountable? Chart these patterns methodically. Their hunger for control is not a choice, it is a compulsion. Their need for drama is not preference, it is addiction. Their craving for attention is not desire, it is biological necessity. Once you understand this, you cease being their victim and become their architect. You are no longer navigating chaos, you are predicting weather patterns. Now comes the Machiavellian transformation. Stop trying to change their nature and start weaponizing it. If they compulsively oppose your ideas, present the opposite of your true goal. Let their arrogance deliver exactly what you desired. If they crave the spotlight, step aside and allow them to take credit for a doomed project. Give them the stage and watch their incompetence expose itself to everyone. You must view their provocations not as personal attacks, but as the predictable ticking of a broken clock. When they launch their inevitable manipulation, you feel no anger, only the quiet satisfaction of a strategist who perfectly anticipated the enemy's move. You know their next step before they conceive it. Their desperate need to be the center of every narrative becomes their greatest vulnerability. When they initiate drama, you do not rush to extinguish fires. You observe calmly, forcing them to either abandon the performance or burn themselves maintaining it. Because they operate on loops of provocation and validation, interrupting that loop crashes their system entirely. You begin conditioning their behavior through strategic consequences. When they act destructively, they receive minimal attention, no emotional fuel, no satisfying conflict. When they behave civilly, they gain small recognitions that reinforce cooperation. You are not healing their soul. You are training their patterns like a master trains a dangerous animal. Consider their inevitable escalation. They attack, expecting explosion. Your voice remains level. You state calmly, "If you continue, I step away from this conversation." When they continue, because their nature commands it, you execute exactly as promised. No argument, no explanation, just consequence. Their brain learns something it hates but cannot escape. Toxic impulses around you cost them access, influence, comfort. Soon you can anticipate their cycles completely. Some explode when losing control. Others smear you when you distance yourself. Knowing this, you prepare defenses in advance. You strengthen alliances before enforcing boundaries. When they follow their script, they walk into landscapes you already shaped. Their predictable nature becomes a weapon pointed at themselves. You watch this choreography not with pity, but with cold satisfaction of a sovereign who defended territory without drawing a sword, simply by allowing invaders to march into swamps of their own making in the end. You do not defeat toxic people by appealing to their non-existent conscience or matching their destructive energy. You defeat them by rendering their entire arsenal completely irrelevant to your existence. Through mastering emotional detachment, wielding silence as your most devastating weapon, positioning yourself as indispensable yet utterly unreachable, and turning their predictable compulsions into traps of their own making, you cease to be their prey and ascend to the role of sovereign strategist. You are no longer shocked by their venom because you have already prepared the perfect antidote, your complete indifference to their manipulations. While others drown in the chaos of moral outrage and desperate explanations, you move through the same battlefield untouched, governed not by reactive emotions, but by cold calculation and absolute mastery over the only kingdom that truly matters, your own mind. The ultimate Machiavellian victory is not destroying your enemies, but making yourself so strategically unreachable that their attacks become nothing more than the futile thrashing of drowning swimmers, observed with the quiet satisfaction of one who has already reached the shore.